न भूमिर्न तोयं न तेजो न वायुः न खं नेन्द्रियं वा न तेषां समूहः अनैकान्तिकत्वात् सुषुप्त्येकसिद्धः तदेको वशिष्ठः शिवः केवलोऽहम् तदेको वशिष्ठः शिवः केवलोऽहम्।
नमः परमशुद्धाय बुद्धाय सर्वसाक्षिणे गुरवे सर्वलोकानां नित्यमुक्ताय ते नमः। वेदान्तार्थविचारेण भासते यो सतां हृदि वेदान्तगगनारूढम् आद्यं बोधकम् आश्रये। निर्मूल्याहङ्कृतिं मत्तः निर्मलानन्ददायिनं नित्यनिर्वाणबोधं तं सद्गुरुं रमणं भजे। यत्कृपालेशमात्रेण सोऽहमित्यात्मनिश्चयः प्रत्यभिज्ञानरूपेण भासते तं गुरुं नुमः। निर्गुणं निश्चलं नाथं सगुणां च चलां वधूं वन्दे च पितरौ आद्यौ बोधसन्तानसिद्धये। निष्क्रियो निर्मलो भर्ता तस्य भार्या क्रियामयी सम्बन्धेन अनयोर्नूनं सर्गकल्लोलपत्तनम्। निश्चला सचला शक्ति वर्तेते गूढदर्शिनां निश्चला तु अमृता प्रोक्ता मृत्युरूपा च मानसा। निश्चलां तां शिवां वन्दे बोधसन्तानदायिनीं मृत्युरूपां च तां वन्दे वैराग्यधनदायिनीं। सचला मानसी शक्तिः विक्षेपलयरूपिणी अहङ्कारादिदेहान्ता श्रद्धाधनविशोषिणी। गुरुवाक्यसमुद्भूतप्रत्यभिज्ञानवह्निना भस्मीकृता शिवं सूते अन्यथा अनर्थकारिणी। श्रुत्यर्थगोचरं वन्दे वाच्यार्थानामगोचरं लक्ष्यार्थवपुषं वन्दे शङ्करं देशिकं गुरुम्। अपार सच्चित्सुखवारिराशेः यस्योर्मिमात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि। देहं मृण्मयवज्जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तदभावसुप्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावतः। कोऽहं भावयुतः कुतो वरधिया दृष्ट्वात्मनिष्ठात्मनां सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं। योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिल शक्तिधरस्वधाम्नाम्। अन्यांशहस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्। As our Chaturmasya Swadhyaya Yajna, for the last almost 10 days we have been listening and meditating on Sri Shankara Bhagavad-pada's life and teachings. Yesterday we saw that Sankaracharya has reached which place? Sri Shailam. So Sri Shailam in Andhra Pradesh, where the deity is Mallikarjuna Swami and Bhramarambika. Bringicha Nadanotkada Karimadagrahi Spuran Madhavahlado Nadayuto Mahasitapapuh Pancheshunachadritaha Satpaksha Sumano Vaneshu Sapunas Sakshan Madiye Manorajipe Bhramaradhipo Vijayatam Shri Shailavasi Vibhuhu. There Bhagavad-pada wrote very mellifluous verses on Shiva. It is Shivananda Lahari. Ananda means bliss, Lahari, the inundation of Shiva Bhakti. The inundation arising from meditation on Shiva. That is Shiva Ananda Lahari. There are three Ananda Lahari. One is Shivananda Lahari and Saundarya Lahari, and third is Ananda Lahari. Two on Devi and one on Shiva. Two on Divine Mother, one on Shiva. So, here Sri Shaila Bhagavad-pada wrote Shivananda Lahari and Yogatārāvalī. This Yogatārāvalī is a work on Yoga Dhyanam. Yoga is Chittavritti Nirodha. Very simple definition. As Patanjali said, Yoga Chittavritti Nirodha. We can ourselves find out that whenever we are very blissful, peaceful, if you look inside, you will find no chittavritti, no thoughts. There will be total cessation of thoughts inside. When satsanga is effective, the sign is that you have no thoughts. Effortlessly, the mind remains still, thoughtless. Nishala tattve jivan muktihi. When there is nishalata, there is the liberation, freedom. And that nishalata can come by various means. Directly you make the mind nishala, still. That is called Raja Yoga, the royal yoga. You just sit and take a decision, a resolve, that henceforth I will not allow my mind to be chanchala, unstable, chintayantram. It is a thought producing machine. So now I am going to stop all the thoughts, still the mind. And taking that resolve, you consciously quieten the mind. Yoga Chittavritti Nirodha, that is Raja Yoga. But when you try to do that, you will find it is not that easy. So many problems are there due to which mind is triggered. It starts thinking. It is very adamant, mind. Then you have to deal with all those things. Because of this, my mind is triggered. Because of an individual, because of some emotion, because of some idea, because of some concept. The mind is not restful. So I have to deal with that idea, I have to deal with that individual, I have to deal with that emotion to bring the mind back to that peaceful, quiet state, restful state. Restfulness, Vishranti, Chitta Vishranti. Without Chitta Vishranti, all knowledge, all our good resolution to spiritual life becomes useless. People come to spiritual life take to sadhana, study books, but if they have not attained this restfulness inwardly, then ultimately it will be a haphazard. You will feel, oh, so many years I have done sadhana, nothing happened. What? You didn't understand the crux, the essence, the center. The center is yoga. And yoga means what? Chitta vritti nirodha. This is one definition of yoga. Another definition of yoga is to be free of suffering. Dukkha sanyoga viyogam yoga samjnitam. In Gita, Bhagavan said, you somehow separate yourself from all that creates suffering. Anything that gives you suffering, you separate yourself from that. Let no seed of suffering remain, which will later on sprout and give you sorrow. Remove all the causes, dukkha yonayaha, as Bhagavan puts. Contact bond pleasures are all sources of suffering. Dukkha yonaya evate adyantavantah kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. Anything that has a beginning and an end is a source of suffering. Something which comes into your life and you become very happy, and once it goes you become sad. What to do? Anything that comes one day will go. That is why Ramana Bhagavan said what? Pok varavu illa podu veliyinil arul porattam kaatten Arunachala. Arunachala, revealed to me that state where there is no coming and going. And Arul Poratam is a very mystical word, that is a different thing. But what is meant here is this coming and going, coming and going. The mental states also, one after the other shifting. So, some very happy state, peaceful state is there. When it goes, you suffer. And when some traumatic state is there, it is not going, then also you suffer. So this situation should change. There should be stability. Bhagavan says, what is Jivan Mukti? In Ramana Gita, somewhere Bhagavan says, Sthirata in tapas is Jivan Mukti. He says stability in tapas. When the austerity is stable, today one thing, tomorrow another, no. Every day is same. Every morning is same. Every evening is same. Every night is same. There is that sthirata, samatvam, stairyam. That is the fruit of great tapas. So, yoga, when the mind is not abiding peacefully in the self, you have to find what is the cause. Sometimes you have to deal with the body. Hatha yoga, pranayama, etc. you have to do. Because when the mind is very gross, you have to deal it from the grossest plane. You have to, today is Ekadashi. You have to control the food or do fasting. Ekadashi upavasa. That is one way. Fasting the eyes, fasting the ears, fasting the nose, fasting the tongue, fasting the touch, fasting all mental imaginations, thinking. All that is very important. So, this yoga happens when the Chitendriyanam Chiranigraheda Shvasaprachare Shamite Yamindraha. When the mind and indriya senses are constantly put to order by upasana and by karma yoga and by discipline through long period, dirghagala nairantarya satkara sevito dridabhumihi, the breath becomes very, very rhythmic. The breathing becomes very rhythmic. Nivata deepa iva nishalangaha, like a lamp kept in a place where there is no wind. The flame is flickerless. Like that, the mind remains quiet and the body remains still. And in such a state, the samadhi happens. And that samadhi, Bhagavan Sankaracharya calls as Unmanyavastha, the introverted state of the mind. Unmanyavasthadhigamaya vidvan upayamekam tavanirddishamaha. Very, very beautiful verse. Unmanyavasthadhigamaya vidvan. When the mind is introverted, O wise one, I will tell you one way the mind can be taken to the self. Upayam ekam tava nirdishamaha. I will tell you one upaya, one method, one prakriya. What is that? Pashyan udasinataya prapancham. In life, train yourself to be a little bit indifferent, untouched by anything. Don't allow anything to enter your mind. If you allow anything to catch hold of your mind, that it is like giving colony inside. That will result for one more birth. So, train this udasina. Udasina, see, now I am udasina. Udasina means one who sits above. Above the body, above the mind, above the thought, above the ego, above waking, dream, deep sleep. So, udasina is not simply indifference. It means we have no other word in English. So, we say divine indifference, a kind of spiritual indifference. But it means becoming a witness, sitting, abiding in a higher state of awareness. Prapancha sankalpamunmulaya savadhanaha. Pashyan udasinataya prapancham sankalpamunmulaya. Don't allow the mind to do sankalpa. Wool gathering. That is what Swami Chinmayananda used to say. Very suggesting word. Very, very effective usage. Wool gathering of the mind. The mind gathers cotton. It starts imagining. This is Sankalpa Shakti. So, Sankalpa Munmulaya, root out all Sankalpas, Savadhanaha, with great attention. When the mind has nothing to hold, Shanaihi Shantim Upaiti Chetaha. Prasahya Sankalpa Paramparanam. The mind, due to its former habit, continues to do wool gathering, continues to gather clouds, continues to gather dust. Sambhedane santata savadhanam alambanashad apachiyamanam. When you do not have any support, when you do not have anything to hold, Shanaihi Shantim Upaiti Chetaha. The mind slowly attains that peaceful state. And that is Amanaska Mudra. When you see such a person, such a yogi, you can when you see such a person, there will be the sign of no mind. In that phase, there will be no mind. Amanaska mudra. Mudra means sign. The sign of no mind is what we see in Bhagwan. In Bhagwan's photo, what do you see? It is Amanaska mudra. The sign of no mind. So, about this, Bhagavad-pada wrote a very beautiful work. This is Yogatārāvalī. This he wrote from Sri Shaila, in the forest of Sri Shaila. For a long period he remained in that yoga sthiti. There is a verse, the last verse in Yogatārāvalī, where he says, I would like to stay in this Sri Shaila. Unaware of the body, let the body remain still. Siddhim tatavidha mano vilayam samadhau Sri Shaila Shringa Kuhareshu Kadopalapsiye. Somewhere in the caves of Sri Shaila, I will merge my mind in the Atma, in the self, and the body becomes still, not for half an hour or 1 hour, not for 1 day or 2 days, for many days. That what happens ultimately, the creepers will encircle the body. Don't pray for such a state. It's all poetry. When will creepers encircle my body? When will the birds build their nests around my ears? That is the yoga sthiti, Sometimes after sitting for half an hour like this, mosquitoes start staying. Then comes all the mudra. So, this in Sri Shaila, Sankaracharya says that I will stay in some cave and meditate and meditate and meditate. Forget the world, forget the body, forget everything. Remain in samadhi. So, all these verses, they reveal that Sankaracharya loved that place. Of course, there are people who do research, If you talk to a research scholar half an hour, you will doubt whether this is Tiruvannamalai or whether this is Switzerland. He can create that doubt. That is what is meant by research. They can make you doubt anything. So there are people who say perhaps this is not written by Sankaracharya or this is not written by that Sankaracharya. Anything possible. Many things are. Even Bhaja Govindam also they will say. Vivek Chodamani also they will say. And Bhashya also, this Bhashyam is different than that Bhashyam. Advaita, and inside that so much Dvaita sometimes comes about due to this research. So, in Sri Shailam, Sankaracharya stayed there. It is just like, you touch the harness or beehive. Suddenly there is buzz, 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 buzz. Everything comes out. All the bees come out. They are disturbed. Like that, when the peaceful sage entered that forest, all the tribes, that Kapalikas, terrible practices they were doing, such people, they were all disturbed like honeybees or like hornets. They all came out. It was like a swarm coming out. So, their leader was a terrible person, Karakacha Bhairava. The name itself is very frightening. So his name was Karakacha Bhairava. So he called a meeting. So many Bhairavas came. These practices are there even now, no? One person came to see me in Rishikesh. He and another woman was there. I am telling woman because we don't know. So he said, I want to come and see you. So he just came there in the room and said, I am a Bhairava, she is Bhairavi. I said, Namaskaram. I had no time to talk. So all these things are happening now also in different styles, different ways. So all these forces, the seed of their reformation is there. Because all these practices are happening due to the body, the mind, the senses, the vasanas. All these things are same. When all these dualistic processes come to an end, we call it Advaita. When pure love is there, you want to do Kainkaryam to Bhagavan, it is called Vishishtadvaita. When you want to rectify all problems, and without duality it is not possible. So good person, bad person, all differences are there. A saint and a fallen person, difference is there. Bhagavan and myself, difference is there. Then we call it Dvaita. And in spirituality itself, the person's vasana starts manifesting. And they don't know how to deal with it. So all other kind of things comes like Tantra, Vamachara, Kaula Marga, Aghora Marga. Actually the name Aghora is a very good name. People think Aghora means terrible. In Tamil it has become a usage actually. Yo, Aghora Marga. Aghora means Shanta. Aghora means very peaceful. Ghora means terrible. Aghora means peaceful. Aghore ebhyo thagore ebhyo ghora ghora tarebhyaha, as the Veda says. So Aghora means a person who has nothing to do with the world, who withdraws from the world. Shiva in his peaceful form is Aghora. But somehow it became a path of various terrible practices are also there in it. Certain people, for them it suits perhaps. So all kind of practices come up due to the need of the body, the senses, the ego, the mind, the white side, the black side, the lightful side, the darker side. All these things manifest and we give name to it as sadhana. That is why Bhagavan said, why sadhana? You just know that you are the self, finished, over. Bhagavan, that is okay for you, but for us, I don't know. Bhagavan will say, I know only this. You can directly realize the self provided you turn your attention towards what is within you as Atma, Shuddha Chaitanyam. But you want to continue the drama in whatever name you want. You can continue. And people love that. And not only that, but vasana is there, prarabdha is there. So according to that, their tamoguna, certain people have certain path. Due to rajoguna, certain people have certain path. Due to sattoguna, certain people have certain path. And those who go beyond all the gunas, or those who are ready to go beyond all the gunas, for them is this Jnana Marga. And bhakti is also nirguna bhakti there. Bhagavata says it is nirguna bhakti. Madguna shruti matrena mayi sarva guhashaye manogatihi avichinna. The moment you listen about Bhagavan, your mind stays in Bhagavan uninterruptedly. Yatha gangambhasaha ambudhau. Like Ganga is flowing towards the sea. Like that. Lakshanam bhakti yogasya nirgunasya hyudahritam. That is nirguna bhakti. Okay. So, we gave an introduction to this because this Bhairava Marga, this terrible path of Kapalikas, they used to carry a Narakapala in their hand. No, this Ghora Shaiva Marga, these things were their Shakta Margas. And generally what they say is Shiva was carrying a wet skull in his hand for Bhiksha Patra. And that is called Agora. You know why he did that? Because he had no money even to buy a vessel. So he got a vessel from the Smashana, very fresh skull. Cleaning it, he started using it. Most, which nobody wants. Otherwise, Bhagavan used to say, Amana Bhagavan, somebody gave him a sandalwood stick. They specially made it for him. People think that Bhagavan loves all these things. So they will specially make such sticks and bring them to Bhagavan. Bhagavan smelt it and said, very fragrant, looks very beautiful, keep it. He gave it back to him. He said, Bhagavan, I made it for you. Bhagavan said, it looks beautiful. If I keep it with me, people who come there, first of all, someone will say, I want it. And they will put it in a sweet way. I want that as Bhagavan's prasadam. Or another person will think, to attain Atma Jnana, you should have a sandalwood stick. So that is another problem. So these are all wrong ideals will be given. So I don't want to keep anything that others would love to have. This was his statement. So this is the ideal of Shiva. If you keep a good vessel, like a Bhiksha Patra, you here itself some shops are there where you will get good Bhiksha Patra. So Bhiksha Patra also, sannyasis, they have their own fantasies. A special Bhiksha Patra, special Rudraksha, special Kashaya, everything. So there also you can have put gold there, put silver there. Ultimately samsara comes back. Which you want to drive out, it comes back through the back door. Special Bhiksha Patra, something like that. So Shiva took a Bhiksha Patra which nobody wants. It is a wet skull. So Ira Od. And he was called Ardra Kapalishwara. He was keeping Ardra Kapalam, so he was called Ardra Kapalishwara. If you go from here towards Kerala, first you will come to Salem, then Erode. And that place is called Erode because there is a temple of Shiva there and the deity is called Ardra Kapalishwara. I have never visited that place, but it's Kanchi Paramacharya's words. Ardra Kapalishwara. So it is Ira Ode. And with that Ira Ode, Shiva is doing Bhiksha. So that is the ideal. So here, these Kapalikas, they are also keeping Narakapala in their hand and moving about, doing terrible practices. And this Krakaja Bhairava, who was the leader of Kapalikas, convened a secret meeting and hatched a plot to end Acharya's life. They do Upasana of Bhairava. So the Ugra Bhairava, an aged member of the group, was entrusted with this task. He was the Bhairava of the group at Sri Shailam. He met Acharya and tried to argue with him in various ways. But he lacked even basic linguistic proficiency. So he could not do that. Then he found a very clever way to enter the group. So One day when Acharya was sitting alone, Sankaracharya was sitting alone, simply quiet, this old man, but a terrible person, he approached Bhagavad-pada and prostrated before him. And with folded hands, he requested Acharya to initiate him as a disciple. Kind-hearted Acharya, he said, what is there to initiate? You already know. You have done upasana enough. Anyway, you can also stay here. As one among the disciples now, he put on an act to win the affection of all. He served everybody. He had some siddhis also. Because he has done various spiritual practices in his path. So he had lot of siddhis of his own. So one day, he had the knack of getting into the heart of everyone. So somehow he caught hold of, influenced everyone. See, negative force, sometimes what we call black magic, can also influence others. So Duryodhana had that charisma. That is why such great people like Bhishma, Drona, Krupa, they could have very well said, we won't support you. But they were all kept under his thumbnail. Whatever he said, they had to obey. He had such a mysterious power. That was not a good force. But the negativity also sometimes becomes, see, Hitler, Mussolini, all of them had followers. Those who worshipped them. Whatever they said, they obeyed. So negative things are also very powerful. So if you want to follow, you have to follow a very sattvic person, a good leader. The best thing is to follow your own heart, the inner self. Uddared atmanatmanam. And good teachers, also they will say, Uddared, Krishna himself says, Arjuna, Uddared atmanatmanam. You lift yourself. If you allow the force inside you to sleep and depend upon the outer things, you will fall. So you have to develop the inner force by which in whatever situation may arise around you, you will not be left out. You have the power with you. So that is the work of a guru also, to awaken the hidden force within the disciple. And the disciple has to become a yogarudha. Uddhared atmanatmanam magnam samsara varido. You have fallen in the samsara, ocean of ignorance. Now lift yourself. How should I lift myself? Yogarudhatvam asadhya. Samyak darshana nishtaya. By climbing the steps of yoga and by true jnanam. Samyak darshana nishtaya. So this is Bhagavad-pada's words. So this Karakacha Bhairava, this Ugra Bhairava, somehow gained the confidence of everyone around, and he was very old, yet he had the power, strength to serve all. So one day he found a very congenial atmosphere. Nobody was around. Perhaps all the other monks, they have gone out for bhiksha or something, or they are all staying in a forest. So some tamarind tree or mango tree, somewhere you will find a place to stay. In Tiruvannamalai also people find some place to sit. Like that, they were all sitting in some area. Nobody was around. And Bhagavad-pada was sitting quiet. That moment, this Ugra Bhairava approached him and said, Bhagavad-pada, I am very old, I don't know how many days I will live. I have a request to place at your feet. Compassionately fulfill this small desire. Bhagavad looked at him and smiled and said, yes, we will do that. What do you wish? And this Ugra Bhairava said, O Lord, I have been practicing the rituals of Bhairavas. So many years I have been practicing this Kapalika sadhana. I took refuge at your feet and I am trying to understand Vedanta, but it doesn't go inside my head. Due to force of habit, I am unable to enter any other discipline. I have secured a boon that if I offer the head of a all-knowing person, omniscient person, it's a peculiar word, omniscient, omnipotent, then what? Omnipresent. All these words contain what? Om. Omni means in Om. It's a Saptami Vibhakti. So, it is omnipotent, omniscient. So, you are an omniscient being. If I offer the head of an all-knowing person, I can directly go to Kapalika, Loka of Kapali. So, you have to bless me. Now, I know that you are an all-knowing being. You live only for the benefit of others. See, if you tell this, that also becomes a problem. I am living for the benefit of others. Okay, then do benefit to me. Everything you can turn it as a negative thing. So, if you show kindness towards me, my wish will be fulfilled. There is no other way. Please bless me. Saying this, he did a namaskar. Bhagavan said, I am afraid of these people who do namaskara. Because once they do namaskara, it appears as if we have to obey them. Whatever they say, we have to obey them. They come as humble disciples. Ultimately, they become like what they call, whatever they say, we have to obey. What will they say? Dictators. They will become dictators. So, here he did a namaskara and said, please bless me. Acharya said, I am concerned about you. If other sannyasis, someone hears what you are talking, it will be dangerous for you. So tell me, how can I help you without their knowledge? So, first thing is ahimsa. And this person is going to do himsa. And Acharya didn't want any untoward incident to happen. Bad incident to happen. So he said, I want first of all your safety. So you should not get hurt by anybody, because even the king is there. Sudhanva is there, already arrived. All of them are there. So it's very dangerous. So tell me, how can I help you without their knowledge? Ugra Bhairava said, what great compassion. There is a place in the nearby forest where Bhairava is worshipped. Inside the forest, deep inside the forest, there is a place where Bhairava is worshipped. That place is very terrifying place. Nobody generally comes there. In Bhagavata also you can have a similar incident where Jadabharata is taken to be offered as a bali to Kali. Like that here also it is. So that place is generally no one goes there, as it is dangerous and difficult to reach. Arrangements for the rituals can be made there. If you can kindly come there at midnight on the next new moon day. I will meet you on the way and take you there. Let it be so, said Acharya. After a couple of days, Ugra Bhairava prostrated and took leave of Acharya and others and stayed away. No one doubted his intentions. The appointed day arrived. At night, after the usual discussion on Brahmavidya with close disciples, Acharya had his Vedanta Vichara, everything. Acharya, sitting under a banyan tree on a seat of darba grass, became absorbed in samadhi. As this was Acharya's usual practice in the early hours of the night, every day before sleep in the night, Acharya used to meditate. So Padmapada also did not doubt. The trusted disciple of Acharya, Chitsukha, also did not doubt. So they all went to take rest. They went away to take rest. They did not suspect anything. MS Sureshwara went to his Parnashala. Padmapada also retired to his hermitage and sat for his regular meditation. He also sat there to meditate. His nature, by long association with Shankara, certain observations of Acharya were assimilated by Padmapada also. So when Bhagavad-pada was every day night meditating, Padmapada also sits. He, in his own place, he will sit and get absorbed. Shanaihi uparamed buddhya dhriti grihitaya atmasamstam manah kritva na kinchitapi chintayet. Slowly withdraw the mind inward and make it abide in the self. Initiate not any new stream of thinking, any thought. Remain still. Meditate. This is a good practice for everyone. If you cannot meditate, do some japa. Meditate on the form of the Lord. Chant some verses or have a Mangalarati in night. Then go to sleep. In Bhagavata Sampradaya, they have a Dolotsava. Before you sleep, make Krishna sleep. This is Dolotsava. After doing that puja, aradhana, then go to sleep. Recollecting with a sattvic bhava, go to sleep. So this is what Bhagavad-pada did every day, and Sureshwara also. Padmapada also absorbed that. So he also went to his place and started meditating. Around midnight, Acharya picked up the staff and water pot and silently walked towards the forest. Mrityuhu yasya upasechanam. As the Upanishad says, for him, even death itself is like a curry, like a side dish. Upanishad says, Mrityuhu yasya upasechanam. He is not afraid of death itself. Even death he is not afraid. That fearlessness is the sure sign of realization. An illumined sage is not afraid of anything. Abhayam Vaijanaka Praptosi. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Yajnavalkya tells Janaka, when he completely gave up everything inwardly, now you have attained fearlessness. So, abhayam, no fear, fearlessness. In that state of fearlessness, Bhagavad-pada went to the place suggested by that person. In the Bhashya of Mrityuryasya Upasechanam, it's very interesting. Acharya himself speaks about unflinching fearlessness of a jnani. Bhayadi dosha gandhobi avidya nimittaha avidyochedad brahmabhutasya nasti. Who is he? He is a Brahma Bhuta. Brahma Bhutasya Sarvabhuta Suhridaha Sunayam api ananumatam alambanam, as Bhagavata puts it. Sarvabhuta Suhridaha Brahma Bhutasya. He is Brahma Bhuta. The exact word here, Bhashya also comes. He is a Brahma Bhuta. He experiences his own being as the infinite, as the boundless, as God, as Ishvara. So such a person, how he attained that jnanam? Avidyochedas, ignorance is removed. Aham Vishwam Samastam Bhuvanam. His knowledge is like that. I am the entire universe. The entire world is me. In that stage, the fearless yogi walked calmly. Ugra Bhairava was, of course, waiting for Acharya on the way. He never expected that Sankaracharya will come. But when he saw Acharya coming very calm, unaccompanied by anyone in the dark night, that was Amavasya, like today. Today is Ekadashi, right? Krishna Paksha. This is Krishna Paksha. Amavasya. And very dark. In that darkness, Acharya arrived there and this person was waiting there with a lamp. He prostrated to Acharya and walked ahead. He himself must have felt it. Because such truthfulness, such fearlessness, such compassion, and I am going to kill him. Showing the way, he walked ahead. Both of them reached the Bhairavasthana, a thick dark spot in the midst of dense forests. There was an idol of Bhairava smeared with sindhura, all red color, in front of which arrangements were made for rituals and sacrifice. The dim light from a lamp served only to intensify the dreadfulness of the deserted place. There were 4 kapalikas. One kapalika is enough to be afraid. There were 4 kapalikas with tridents, with trishula, who looked frightening like the messengers of death. The saffron-clad Acharya shone in their midst like a flash of lightning among thick dark clouds. Even the Kapalikas were surprised at this peaceful countenance, resembling the full moon, absolutely unperturbed. Acharya remained as an illustration of the statement in the Yoga Vasishta. Tusharakara bimbacham mano yasya nirakulam marana utsava yuddheshu sashanta iti katyate. He alone is considered as truly peaceful. One who remains calm and cool like the full moon in the autumn season, whether it be death or festivity or even war. Even amidst great chaos, he remains very peaceful. Where can one find a better example for Sthita Prajna? Acharya was made to sit on the sacrificial altar. Acharya remained absorbed in samadhi, his eyelids half closed, resembling lotus buds. He himself describes this state in Yogatārāvalī. Avir bhavantīm amanaskamudram alokayamo munipungavanam. Generally you need to have what they call anesthesia. For a yogi it is not needed. You can give anesthesia to yourself. Just cut all outer contact. The world is not there. Na asti, that is anasti. And Isha is there, that is anesthesia. This is true anesthesia. Atma is there, Ishvara is shining, and world is nasti. So, that way he remained absorbed in samadhi like a golden statue. Even his breath stopped. At this time, Padmapada was easily used to enter a samadhi state. The mind will become still, absorbed in meditation. But when you make the mind silent, when the mind, like Akasha, like space, if you have some deeper sankalpa inside you, sometimes Swagata Sankalpa, sometimes Paragata Sankalpa, sometimes Sanniveshagata Sankalpa. 3 things can enter. If you have any Sankalpa of your own inside, when you quieten your mind, that Sankalpa will come up. So that Sankalpa should be blown out. Sankalpa Nirvana. Sometimes Paragata Sankalpa, Guru or somebody who is affectionate to you, somebody who is linked to you, their Sankalpa can also disturb the mind. It can come inside the mind. Sometimes Sanniveshagata Sankalpa. Wherever you are, in that Sannivesha something is happening, that can enter your mind. That is possible, quite possible. Here what happened, Padmapada is deeply connected to Acharya. The Guru Bhakti is a unbreakable link there. So in that state he was trying to remain still in Samadhi, and this Ugra Bhairava is taking Acharya to the forest. Sometimes something happens, you have a dream and the dream will connect things, events to something else. So a fearful vibration happened in his mind, and he was a great upasaka of Narasimha Swami in his former ashrama, in his Brahmacharya ashrama. So suddenly, inwardly in that silent state, he had a darshan of Ugra Narasimha, terrible form of Narasimha. In Narayaniyam Bhattadri is doing upasana of Guru Ayurappan, Krishna in a beautiful form. And he was writing Narayaniyam, old Bhagavata story. When he was writing Narasimha Avatara, that day Krishna was not decorated as Narasimha. He was just standing there as a little boy with only a loin cloth, Kaupinam. Very sweet, beautiful form. He was looking at that Krishna, and when that place reached, that story reached the place where Hiranyakashipu is giving a hit. Are kwasau sakala jagadatma haririti prabhinde smastambham chalita karavalo ditisutaha ataha pashyad vishnu nahi vaditum ishosmi sahasa kripatman vishwatman pavanapuravasin mridayamam. He says, when I reached that spot, I looked at the Shri Kovil, and oh Lord, I cannot utter a word. Nahi vaditumi ishosmi. I am not able to say what I saw there. It is not Krishna standing there. It is not Vishnu. It is a terrible form. Stambhe ghattayato. The verses are itself very alive, very vibrant. Stambhe ghattayato hiranyakashipoho karnau samachurnayan. He says, when he hit the stambha, the pillar broke. And such a roar came out. Sometimes you hear some terrible voice from the speaker. There are cases, blood has oozed out of the ear. Sometimes the eardrum gets affected. But here, Bhattadri says, the ear and that spot was made as a dust. Karnau samachurnayan, Aghurna jagadanda kundakuharo ghorastava bhudravaha. Shrutvayam kila daityaraja hridaye purvam kadapi ashrutam kampah kashana sampapata chalitopi ambhoja bhuhu vishtarat. Kampah kashana sampapata. There was a shiver. Even Brahma shivered. So in such a roar, he had a vision. Padmapada had a vision of Narasimha. And not only he had a vision of Narasimha inside him, he just jumped from that position and gave such a roar outside. All other monks, sannyasis, they were all getting ready to rest. In that night, they thought a real terrible lion has come in the forest. It's a forest. So they all jumped, and then they looked. Padmapada was running as if possessed. His face was so red in color, body was shivering, and he was running. And they all followed him. They all followed him. His eyes were emitting fire. Sureshwaracharya, who was also an adept in all Shastras, surmised that something untoward had happened and gathered everyone. The soldiers of the local ruler were also present there. All of them started searching for Acharya. Padmapada let out a roar, jumped and ran towards the forest in the pitch darkness of the new moon night. Others lit their torches and followed him with great difficulty. Inspired by the Lord, Padmapada swiftly reached the spot where the horrifying event was about to take place. Meanwhile, Ugra Bhairava had made Acharya lie down on the sacrificial altar and had drawn his sword. It was then that he heard the high-pitched roar and the noise of the crowd. Bhairava looked around. He shuddered with fear on seeing Padmapada standing right in front of him. With fiery eyes and with the frightening expression of a terrible divine form. Ugra Bhairava also had a vision of a terrible divine form. Looking at Bhairava, Padmapada let out a thunder-like deadly mystic syllable. Hunkara. It is called Hunkara. He just said hum. The next moment, Bhairava lost his sanity. He almost lost his balance. With the same sword, his own head he cut and fell down there. Pandemonium set in. The other Kapalikas ran away and hid themselves. The forest reverberated with wave after wave of ferocious roaring. Acharya's samadhi was also interrupted. Slowly he opened his eyes and saw the body of Ugra Bhairava with head separated and soaked in blood lying nearby. Acharya lifted his eyes and looked at Padmapada. There he had the vision of Lord Narasimha. Acharya was overcome with bhava, and a verse flowed spontaneously from his heart. Samsara bhigara karindra kariba karabhighata nishpidyamana vapusha sakalartinasha pranaprayana bhavabhiti samakulasya lakshmi nrisimha mamadehi karavalambam. As soon as Acharya finished the hymn, the presence of Narasimha was withdrawn. A sannyasi by name Samyamindra came forward and held Padmapada as the latter swooned. Padmapada came back to his normal sense after a few moments and asked anxiously, "Where is Acharya?" Where? Sureshwara held Padmapada's hand and pacified him. For a while, everyone stood in front of Acharya, not knowing what to do. Acharya looked at Ugra Bhairava for a long time and was lost in deep thought. After some time, Acharya said to Padmapada, to everyone there, Acharya said, his friends must be somewhere here. Ask them to come and take his body. I feel very sad that his sankalpa did not happen. The deep intensity of your former upasana is quite evident from this, he told Padmapada. Bhairava's sankalpa could not be fulfilled. What a pity. We have nothing to achieve with this body and nothing to lose by its death. It seems as if Lord wants something to be accomplished through this body. Let it be so. Saying this, Acharya calmly got up from the sacrificial altar. Talking to the disciples in a light, casual manner, Acharya said, although we pride ourselves as being established in jnana, it is natural even for us to call out to the Lord when helpless. Just as we ask for bhiksha when affected by hunger. That is why Padmapada thought of Narasimha when he felt that my life was in danger. Chitsuka prostrated to Acharya and then he did a special prostration to Padmapada also. What would have happened if Padmapada had not invoked Lord Narasimha? Oh, we cannot even imagine. Sureshwara also acclaimed Padmapada's devotion, as Lord Narasimha is one of the purest of all the forms that are worshipped. Evam natita raudra cheshtita vibho shritapaniya bhita shrutyanta sputa sarvagita mahiman atyanta shuddhakrite. As Bhattadri puts it, shrutyanta sputa gita mahima. The Shruti itself has sung, the only avatara about which Upanishad has spoken is Narasimha Avatara. Upanishad in the sense a later Upanishad, which is Purvatapani Upanishad and Uttaratapani Upanishad. And Atyanta Shuddhakriti, because that very moment he manifested in the pillar for the protection of Prahlada. So, Acharya asked Padmapada to compose a bhashya for Narasimha Upanishad, that is Tapani Upanishad. That is one story that we get. Certain people say that Acharya himself wrote the bhashya and Padmapada wrote bhashya, like that. So it's all not completely authentic in that way. So here the story is that Acharya asked Padmapada to write. The news about this incident spread throughout Sri Shailam. Kapalikas began to come in groups to see Acharya. Some of them gave up their barbaric ways and reformed their lives. After this horrific incident, the king expelled the Kapalikas. He also ordered his men to locate the platforms used by the Kapalikas for human sacrifices and destroyed them. Thus the sacred river of Jnana, Shankara Ganga, flowed southwards, purifying everything on the way. Thus, the chapter 25th Sopan ends in Atmatirtham, which is the life and teachings of Sankaracharya. You can read the book in itself, you will get the story. We are touching here, there from the book. But the book contains all that, the story, the teaching, everything. Next, we will see Acharya entering Karnataka and coming down south. There is a purpose in this travel. The main purpose is emanation of the teaching, propagation of the teaching. Wherever mature seekers are ready to receive the teaching, let them receive this light. Let them receive this knowledge. So for that is that great sage moving about from place to place. We will continue this story tomorrow morning. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala.